Finding your true north, unlocking your divine purpose. Hey, my child, do you ever feel that restless stir, especially when the world finally quiets down and you're left alone with your thoughts? That's not just random anxiety or an empty ache. It's the tug of eternity I placed inside you, even before your first breath. It's the pulse of purpose, that holy whisper that just won't let you settle for merely surviving in a world so obsessed with distraction. I know how often you try to numb that feeling. You fill your hours with noise, your minutes with motion, your soul with endless scrolling. You move fast because stillness makes you confront that one question you haven't answered yet. Why am I really here? You're not here by accident. Let me tell you, you are not here by accident. I didn't form you in the secret places of the womb just for you to wander through life without clarity. Before your eyes even opened, I already knew your name, your strengths, your seasons of confusion, and even those temptations to give up. You've walked through days where your identity felt blurred, where your value was tied to what others thought, where your dreams seemed too fragile to trust again. But I was there, and I am still here. Every distraction clamoring for your attention isn't just noise, it's a tactic. The world offers an endless buffet of options, convincing you that fulfillment means being everything at once, but that's a lie meant to exhaust you. The truth is simpler and stronger. You were never meant to be everything, but you were created to be something specific, something sacred. Rediscovering your soul's compass. I authored a path for you that no one else can walk. But to see it clearly, you must first turn your gaze back to me. You have to let me show you what truly matters, beyond the buzz of updates and the pull of appearances. You feel lost sometimes because the compass of your soul wasn't built to follow algorithms or opinions. It was crafted to respond to my voice, and I've never stopped speaking. You've just been surrounded by so much noise that my whispers have been buried, but they are still there, echoing in the things that make your heart beat faster with joy, stirring in those quiet moments when you feel most alive. These aren't coincidences, they are clues. They are the breadcrumbs leading you back to the life you were meant to live. This isn't about performance or perfection. It's about connection. It's about recognizing that your deepest longings aren't flaws to be managed, but signals of the divine design I wrote into your being. You want your life to matter, not because you're proud, but because you were created in my image. And my image carries weight, meaning, glory. The world tells you to chase more status, more speed, more success. But I call you to slow down, so you can go deeper. I call you not to perform for applause, but to move with purpose. I call you not to blend in, but to rise, to shine, to reflect the unique piece of my heart that only you carry. There's a reason you've always felt tension when your life gets too noisy. There's a reason silence both scares you and draws you in. Because in that silence, your true self is revealed. The self I crafted with intention. And though the distractions of this world try to drown out that voice, they cannot erase it. The world may pull you in 1,000 directions, but I only need you to return to one, mine. Purpose isn't a plan, it's presence. You weren't created to endlessly chase answers. You were created to walk with the one who is the answer. That's where your peace begins. That's where your strength will be restored. I don't demand that you understand everything today. I ask only that you draw near enough to hear me again. Let the fog of confusion lift. Let the illusions of comparison melt. Let the chains of productivity loosen their grip. I'm not asking you to do more. I'm inviting you to become more by resting in the truth of who you already are in me. Purpose doesn't start with a plan. It begins with presence, my presence. And I am here. I have always been, even when you wandered, even when you forgot, even when you doubted if I still had something meaningful for you. My plan never wavered. I was never disappointed in your delay. I knew every step it would take to bring you to this moment of awakening. And now, here you are. We are together, and it begins again. Unveiling your destiny. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not disqualified. You are becoming. You are discovering. You are awakening to the reason you exist. I don't waste pain. I don't lose track of my children. I don't forget what I've spoken over your life. Even when you forgot how to dream, I protected your dream. Even when you abandoned the path, I preserved the path. And now I am calling you home, to clarity, to peace, to purpose. Let go of the lie that you must have it all figured out. Let go of the pressure to prove your worth through constant activity. Let go of the fear that you've missed your chance. If you are still breathing, then your purpose is still breathing too. And I am ready to show you what it looks like to live with meaning again. The noise of this world may be loud, but my voice is stronger. And today, if you choose to listen, you will begin to hear what you've been longing for all along. Not the answer to every question, but the presence of the one who walks with you through them all. Clarity through communion. You wonder why clarity feels so distant, why direction seems to slip through your fingers just when you think you've found it. But clarity was never meant to be built on the shifting sands of the world's expectations. It grows instead from communion, communion with me, the one who knit you together, the one who sees every layer of your being. I know the questions that haunt you. I see the way you wrestle with choices, the weight you carry in trying to be enough for everyone and everything. But I never called you to carry that burden. I called you to come close. You weren't made to find your purpose in isolation. You weren't made to chase after meaning as if it were some distant star you must earn. No, I have placed purpose within you, like a seed, and it doesn't grow through striving. It grows through surrender. It blossoms in the soil of intimacy with me. When you are willing to stop running and finally be still long enough to let me speak. You've been chasing your calling like a puzzle to solve, but it was always meant to unfold like a relationship to be discovered, not demanded, revealed, not rushed. There are layers to who you are that even you haven't seen yet, but I see them all. Every skill that comes naturally to you, every passion that burns just beneath the surface, every spark of joy you feel when you lose yourself in what you love. That's me, reminding you who you are. These aren't random traits. They are fingerprints of divine design. I embedded them in your soul long before you ever wondered what they meant. They are clues, not just to what you're good at, but to what you were made for. Guard your purpose, rooted in love. Yet I know how the world tries to distort that beauty. It tells you to monetize your gifts, to perform your passions for approval, to measure your value by productivity. But when I gave you your purpose, I did not tie it to numbers or applause. I tied it to love. Love for me, love for others, love for the life I've given you. And that kind of love cannot be commodified. It must be protected, nurtured, treasured. When your purpose is rooted in love, it becomes immovable. Even when everything else around you shifts. I never meant for you to walk through life confused. But sometimes confusion becomes the catalyst that brings you back to me. When all your options blur together, when the doors you thought were yours remain closed, when the future seems foggy, I'm not punishing you. I'm inviting you to pause, to come away from the noise and sit with me again. Not to get more answers, but to remember that being with me is the answer. No matter how unclear the path may feel, you're not walking it alone. Greatness in the unseen. You've been taught to believe that purpose looks like grandeur, like something big and loud and obvious. But some of the most powerful purposes are hidden in the quiet acts of faithfulness, the unnoticed kindness, the silent prayers, the consistent yes to me, even when no one else sees. I measure greatness differently than the world does. I do not count your worth by visibility, but by obedience. And every time you choose to seek me first, even when everything around you pushes you to do otherwise, I see it, I honor it, and I shape you through it. It's okay if you don't know the full picture yet. That's not your burden to bear. You're not the architect. You're the vessel. I carry the blueprints. I know where this is going. And I promise it's good. Not because it will always feel easy, but because I am with you through it all.
Even in the waiting, even in the silence, even in the moments that make no sense, your purpose is not a destination. It is a posture of heart. A willingness to say, here I am, Lord, use me. You don't need to compare your journey to anyone else's. Their path was never meant to match yours. I don't create duplicates, I create originals. There is no one else who carries what you carry. And when you stop looking sideways, when you stop trying to fit your life into someone else's mold, you will begin to taste the freedom of becoming who you truly are. That freedom is where purpose flourishes, not in imitation, but in authenticity. You are my workmanship. Let me remind you again, I did not forget you. I am not silent because I am absent. Sometimes I am silent because I am drawing you into deeper trust. When you don't feel me, still follow. When you don't see the next step, still say yes to me. That is where transformation begins. That is where true purpose ignites. Not when you have all the answers, but when you learn to walk with me even in the dark. You are not lost, beloved. You are being led. You are being shaped. You are being invited into a life more sacred than you dared to imagine. One where purpose is not a burden, but a blessing. One where identity is not achieved, but received. One where your soul finally feels at home because it is rooted in me. You may not realize it, but many of the battles you've faced, the weariness, the comparison, the tug of war inside your mind, stem from one central wound, forgetting who you are in me. This world is relentless in trying to rewrite your identity. It tells you that you are what you produce, that your worth hinges on attention and applause, that your story must mirror the success of others, or else it lacks value. But I never defined you by their metrics. I have always seen you through eyes of truth, and I'm calling you back to that truth now. You are not what you lack. You are not what others see. You're not the sum of your failures or the applause of your victories. You are mine, formed in love, sealed with purpose, chosen before time. When I look at you, I don't see confusion. I see calling. I don't see disappointment. I see destiny. You don't have to perform for me. You don't have to become someone else. I'm not waiting for a future version of you to begin working through your life. I'm already moving now through who you are in this very moment. Rest in me. And yet, I know how the voices around you try to drown mine out. The world says, be more. But I say, be still. The world says, hustle harder. But I whisper, rest in me. You're not falling behind, you're being refined. Every moment you feel overlooked, I am watching. Every time you feel unworthy, I am reminding. The world may not validate you, but I already did. Through my breath that gave you life, through the sacrifice that proved your value, through the calling I placed within you before you even knew how to speak my name. You carry a light that is not meant to dim just because others do not understand it. You were never meant to shrink, to fit into spaces that cannot contain your niche or your purpose. And the unease you feel when you do is not a flaw. It's your spirit resisting what I never asked of you. That discomfort is not disobedience. It's alignment trying to rise. Stop apologizing for the way you were made. I do not make mistakes. I do not call accidents. I do not speak without reason. Every detail of your being was intentionally designed for the mission I have placed before you. And yes, there is a niche mission. It's not always loud. It may not be flashy. But it is eternal. It's in the way you love when it's hard, in the strength you show when others would collapse, in the quiet resilience that keeps saying yes when everything in you feels tired. It's in the fire you carry for justice, for creativity, for healing, for truth. It's in the tears you shed for what's broken, and in the joy that erupts when something finally comes to life in your spirit. That is purpose in motion. That is me moving through you. Don't wait. Live fully. Stop waiting for a title to feel significant. Stop waiting for recognition to feel real. Stop waiting for the perfect season to begin living fully. You don't need permission from the world to walk in what I've already placed inside you. You don't need more accolades. You need more awareness of what's already yours. Look again at the gifts I've given you, not with the eyes of comparison, but with the clarity of gratitude.
What you have is holy. What you carry is sacred. And the moment you stop dismissing it, you will begin to see just how powerfully I intend to use it. But you must protect that identity. You must guard it against the lies that whisper you are not enough, or that it's too late, or that someone else could do it better. Those voices are not mine. I never ask you to compete. I invite you to contribute. I don't call you to perform. I call you to participate in something eternal. My work in you is not fragile. It does not disappear when you doubt or delay. I am patient. I am present. And I am relentless in my love for you. Surrender to glory. If only you could see yourself the way I see you, how quickly we would rise, how boldly we would speak, how freely you would live. You would no longer hesitate or shrink or second-guess your worth. You would run not away from yourself, but into the fullness of who I created you to be. And that is what I'm leading you toward, even now. Not a new version of you, but the true version, freed from fear, anchored in truth, alive with purpose. You may not feel ready, but readiness was never the requirement. Willingness was. And I see that in you. Even when you doubt, even when you hesitate, I see the spark. I see the hope. I see the yes beneath the questions. And that's enough for me to begin. You've been wounded by expectation, your own and others. Somewhere along the way, the pressure to get everything right became a weight you didn't know how to carry. You internalized the idea that your value depended on doing rather than being, on outcomes rather than obedience. And every time you fell short of the image you thought you had to maintain, shame crept in and whispered lies about who you are. That shame has stayed longer than it should. It has built a home in places meant for joy. But I am here now to cleanse those inner wounds. I am here to expose the lie and reveal the truth. Shame has no authority in my presence. It never did. I do not hold your failures over your head like chains. I do not replay your mistakes like accusations. You may think your missteps have disqualified you, but I see them as moments that shape humility, deepen wisdom, and carve out a heart more ready to depend on me. I am not surprised by your shortcomings. I do not recoil from your weakness. My grace is not offered after you fix yourself. It is the very power that lifts you when you cannot stand on your own. Some of the most powerful movements in your life will come from the places that once felt broken. Not because the brokenness itself is good, but because what I redeem, I also glorify. When you let me into the places you've hidden, your doubts, your regrets, your unspoken pain, I don't bring condemnation, I bring restoration. And that restoration is not only for you. Others will be healed because you dared to be healed. Others will find freedom because you stopped pretending and started allowing me to work through your story. Your past doesn't define your purpose. You may be carrying guilt for decisions you made in confusion or desperation. I know every detail of those moments, and still I call you mine. Still I call you chosen. Still I speak purpose over your life. Do not let what happened yesterday become the ceiling of what I want to do through you today. Your past does not scare me. It does not weaken your purpose. If anything, it positions you to walk with a depth and compassion that only comes from walking through the fire and finding me there. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for surrender. And you don't have to come to me polished. You just have to come. I can work with honesty. I can move through a heart that says, I'm tired, but I'm here. That's the kind of surrender that opens the heavens. That's the kind of humility that invites purpose to take root in the soil of your real, messy, beautiful humanity. So stop waiting to feel worthy.
Stop waiting until you no longer struggle.
You were never meant to become perfect before you walked in your calling. You are meant to become holy by walking closely with me. And in that walk, I do the shaping, I do the refining, I do the healing. You just say yes. You keep showing up. You keep letting me in. That is how purpose is formed. In the daily, sacred practice of trust. And oh, how I love you. Not the future version of you. Not the cleaned up, always confident version. I love you now. I see the flickers of courage in your eyes. I see the silent prayers you whisper when no one else is listening. I see the ache you carry, the longing to do something that matters, to live a life that makes a difference. That longing is holy. That ache is not emptiness, it's preparation. And if you let me, I will take that ache and breathe into it something eternal. You are being positioned. You don't need to keep punishing yourself for not being where you thought you'd be. Growth is rarely linear. Healing is never a straight line. But you are moving forward, even when it feels like standing still. And I am moving with you. I don't measure your progress by outward success, but by inward surrender. Every tear you've cried, every step you've taken, despite fear, every moment you've chosen me over comfort, that is progress. That is power. That is purpose in motion. I know you get tired. I know the process feels slow. But I promise you this, nothing is wasted. No delay, no detour, no disappointment will cancel what I have destined for your life. I will redeem even the most painful chapters. I will use them, not to shame you, but to show others that nothing is beyond my reach. Your story is not over. In fact, the part where purpose blooms is just beginning. You've carried fear longer than you realized. It has disguised itself in so many forms: overthinking, hesitation, perfectionism, even apathy. It whispers that you must control everything or you'll lose everything. It lies and says that failure will define you, that mistakes will ruin you, that you are safer in hiding than in stepping out. But fear was never your counselor. It was never your master. It does not come from me. And today, I'm asking you to name it. Not to empower it, but to strip it of its false authority over your life. Fear always exaggerates. It magnifies the unknown and minimizes the truth. It tells you your purpose is too risky, that your dream is too big, that your voice is too small. But I hold time in my hands. I see what you cannot, and I will not let you fall without catching you in grace. If you truly knew how present I am, how fiercely I guard your journey, you would not let fear steal another moment of your peace. I have not asked you to leap without me. I have invited you to walk with me. And I will not walk you into harm. I will walk you into holy ground. What you fear most is often the very area where I want to show myself strong. I am not interested in building a life for you that never challenges you. I am interested in growing you into the person I created you to be. Someone who doesn't just avoid me,
overcomes it. That is why I've allowed certain situations to stretch you, not to break you, but to reveal the depth of strength and faith that I've placed inside you. You were never meant to be paralyzed by what-ifs. You were meant to move in confidence, even when your hands tremble. Do not confuse fear with discernment. There will always be moments when I ask you to pause, to wait, to be still. But when it is truly me speaking, there is peace even in the pause. When fear speaks, it brings dread, anxiety, and confusion. My voice brings clarity, even if not all the answers are visible. My voice brings calm in the middle of chaos, direction in the fog, courage in the tension. Learn to recognize that difference, and you'll begin to walk with a confidence that fear cannot touch. I go before you. I have gone before you. Every step I ask you to take, I have already walked. Every door I open, I hold in place. When I close a door, it's not rejection, it's redirection. I see the traps ahead. I know what would drain your spirit, what would distract your heart, what would delay your destiny. So when I say wait, trust me. And when I say go, move, even if it scares you, especially when it scares you. Because on the other side of that fear is growth. On the other side is intimacy with me. On the other side is a version of you that fear cannot control anymore.
I've seen the way you wrestle with decisions. The long nights, the spiraling thoughts, the prayers that begin strong but end in silence because you don't know what to say anymore. But I hear even your silence. I interpret every sigh, every groan, every wordless cry. And I respond not with judgment, but with comfort. I draw close. I surround you with a peace that defies logic, and I whisper again what I've said from the beginning. Do not be afraid. I am with you. You won't find purpose in a place where fear is your guide. You'll find survival there, yes, but not fulfillment. You'll find safety, but not growth. I'm not asking you to be reckless. I'm asking you to be brave. Bravery is not the absence of fear. It's choosing truth despite it. It's stepping out because you trust me more than you trust the fear. That's the kind of courage that shifts generations. That's the kind of faith that shapes eternity. Every giant you face is already defeated in me.
Every wall that feels too high, every voice that tells you can't, I've always silenced them with my authority. I am the one who lifts your head when shame tries to bow it. I am the one who strengthens your knees when they shake. I do not grow weary. I do not leave mid-battle. And I do not forget my promises. I fight for you. I walk with you. I believe in you more than you believe in yourself. Fear may try to follow you, but it cannot stop you unless you let it. And you don't have to let it. You have the right to walk in freedom. Not because you've earned it, but because I've declared it. I bought that freedom with my love, and it's yours now. So stand tall, speak truth, create boldly, lead with compassion, love without restraint, move with the knowing that I am your covering, your strength, your source. You have nothing to prove and nothing to fear, not when you walk with me. The power of stillness. There is a rhythm to my voice, one that calms your storm and stills your striving. But you must come close enough to hear it. You live in a world that celebrates noise. Busyness is praised, overcommitment is rewarded, and silence is misunderstood. But I have never shouted for your attention. I have always whispered. I meet you in the stillness, not the spotlight. In the pause, not the performance. In the hush between your questions, not in the clamor of endless doing. You were not created to be a machine of achievement. You were formed to walk with me, to listen, to know, to be. Your purpose is not something you chase outside of yourself. It is something you uncover by coming deeper into me. The world says, find your truth. But I say, come and let me reveal the truth I've already written within you. This isn't about adding more tasks, more titles, more goals. It's about subtracting the noise that has made you forget who you are. It's about unlearning what was never yours to carry. Your identity is not built in the striving. It is discovered in surrender. When was the last time you sat with me? Not to ask, not to perform, but simply to be. When was the last time you allowed silence to be sacred? In that quiet, there is healing. In that stillness, there is clarity. The distractions don't define you, but they can drown me out if you let them. And that's why I'm calling you back to simplicity. Not because I want you to do less, but because I want you to hear more. I want you to remember what your heart sounds like when it is not competing with 1,000 voices. I want you to feel the weight of my presence without rushing to explain it. The glory of purpose. There is power in rest, not the kind of rest the world preaches. The shallow escape that leaves you numb, but the kind of rest that roots you, that reconnects you to the source of your life, that teaches you to breathe again in the rhythms of grace. When you rest in me, I rebuild you. I restore what striving has stripped away. I reintroduce you to peace, not a fleeting emotion, but a person, myself. I become your clarity, your compass, your confidence. Your distractions are not just digital, they are internal. The old stories you've believed, the patterns of thought that sabotage joy, the assumptions that whisper, you're not enough every time you step towards something meaningful. But I am breaking those patterns now. I am rewriting those narratives. I am replacing self-doubt with divine identity. The thoughts you've had for years do not have to rule your mind anymore. You have access to a renewed mind, not by trying harder, but by letting me renew it. Let me speak into your thoughts. Let me sit with you in the silence and teach you to hear again. It won't always be dramatic. It might feel subtle at first. A flicker of peace, a whisper of wisdom, a memory you didn't expect. That is me. I don't always arrive with thunder. I arrive with intimacy. And if you'll make room for me, if you'll fight to protect that space, I'll fill it with more than answers. I'll fill it with myself. And when you have me, you have everything. Some of the greatest moves I'll make through your life will be birthed in moments no one else sees. In the quiet morning prayers, in the choice to shut down distractions and lean into my heart, in the gentle discipline of stillness. This is not weakness. It is spiritual strength. It is how I prepare warriors, not by noise, but by nearness, not by performance, but by presence. So come, not later, now. Bring me your racing thoughts, your cluttered heart, your overwhelmed schedule. Lay it all down. Let the chaos unravel and let stillness take its place. You don't need perfect conditions to meet with me. You just need willingness. You don't need hours of eloquence. You just need a single moment of honesty. That's where purpose awakens, not in striving to hear my voice, but in believing I'm already speaking. I have not been silent. I've been waiting for your stillness. And now that you are here, I will meet you. I will pour into you what this world cannot. I will refill your empty places, restore your weary spirit, and remind you that your purpose was never about doing everything, but about doing the one thing that matters most, walking with me. You are my workmanship. There are moments when you wonder if what you carry is enough, if your gifts, your ideas, your contributions hold real weight in a world so loud, so crowded. You scroll and compare, and suddenly your purpose feels smaller, as if it's been reduced to fragments beside the highlight reels of others. But listen closely. What I've placed in you is not small. It is eternal. It is not measured by scale or visibility, but by obedience and impact. And what you bring, your story, your creativity, your compassion, was never meant to fit inside the molds this world worships. It was meant to change the atmosphere wherever you walk. You don't need millions to be influential. You don't need a stage to be effective. Your life, when surrendered to me, becomes a vessel through which heaven touches earth. Every time you extend kindness when it costs you something, every time you speak life when it would be easier to remain silent, every time you stand in integrity when compromise would be more convenient, purpose is in motion. Legacy is being built. Eternity is being shaped in the smallest acts of faithfulness. You often underestimate how much I can do with your willingness. You think if it's not grand, it's not meaningful. But I am the one who multiplies loaves and fishes. I am the one who uses a mustard seed to move mountains. What you see as modest, I see as mighty when placed in my hands. So stop withholding what you have out of fear it's not enough. You were never meant to be the source. You were meant to be the vessel. I am the source. I am the strength behind every act of love, the light behind every offering of hope. I know the world tells you to keep climbing, chasing the next level, the next number, the next opportunity. But I'm not asking you to climb, I'm asking you to root. Root yourself in me. Root yourself in what is real. When your roots are deep in my love, your purpose won't be shaken by changes in circumstance or opinion. You will stand firm. You will produce fruit in every season, even the hidden ones, especially the hidden ones, because the most powerful growth often happens beneath the surface, where no one else is looking except me. Your story is far from over. I see how much you long to matter. That longing is not wrong. I placed it there. You were created to reflect my glory. But the path to that fulfillment isn't through striving, it's through surrender. It's in saying, use me, Lord, wherever, however, whenever. It's in giving me the brush and letting me paint something eternal on the canvas of your daily life, even in the ordinary, especially in the ordinary. Because when you let me breathe into the mundane, the miraculous begins to unfold. There is no such thing as wasted effort when you're walking with me. No hidden act of faith goes unseen. No moment of love goes unnoticed. I record it all, I use it all, and I shape it all into something more beautiful than you could ever manufacture on your own. That is the glory of walking in purpose. It is not about chasing significance, but about trusting me to weave significance through every thread of your life. Don't despise your current season. It may feel quiet, it may feel slow, but it is not void of purpose. It is not beneath you. It is building something within you. I'm teaching you to be faithful when it's not glamorous. I am forming in you the kind of character that can carry the weight of what's coming. I will never give you a calling that crushes you. That's why I work on your roots before I grow your reach. So take heart. Your purpose is not late. Your destiny is not slipping away. I'm not bound by time, and neither is what I've planted in you. You are not falling behind. You are being positioned. Every season of pruning, every hidden act of obedience, every time you chose to stay when you could have run, it's all part of the story I'm telling through your life. And that story is far from over. What you carry is holy, what you create matters, and who you are becoming is no accident. You are my workmanship, my instrument, my beloved. Keep sowing faithfully, keep showing up, keep trusting me when it doesn't make sense. The impact of your life will stretch further than you ever imagined. Not because you made it big, but because you stayed close to me. You may not fully grasp this yet, but I've always been writing your story with eternity in mind. Not just for your comfort, not just for your success, but for transformation. The kind that doesn't just touch your life, but echoes into generations. And the transformation I desire begins inside you, not with outward accolades, but with inward alignment. Because the greatest work I do through your life will first happen in your heart. That is the place where my spirit takes root.